Reporting live from the United States of Embarrassment, I have your breaking good news now. Republicans are upset because the Dollar Tree dictator did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. They really thought he was going to win it? I'm confused. This is news to me because I knew that he wanted it, but you know, like a kid, when you take them to the store and they're like, oh, mommy, can I have that? Can I have that? You're like, no. And then they get them upset and throw a tantrum. I thought that's what this was. Obviously not. They really thought. The gag of all of this, though, guys, is that he lost to a Latina. The Dollar Tree dictator is also headed to Walter Reed Hospital for his physical. Now, we will be watching this because if for whatever reason he's not pictured or recorded after this physical, then that means it was something bigger. Because why are you announcing that he's going to be going for a physical? Because it's something much more. And as always, hold on. Like, I'm working out. But as always, I will be available to provide you with breaking good news to outweigh the bad. Bye, guys.
So Trumpy is not helping your candidacy. Does he actually deserve the Nobel Peace Prize?
Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great time. Now, the other day, there was that Nobel Peace Prize that was awarded to people who are qualified for it. But President Trump seems to be angered by the fact that he did not get it. We know that since his first term, he's been talking about the Nobel Peace Prize, talking about how he should have gotten it. He says that President Barack Obama got it just by mere promise. And therefore, he was speaking about it. And in fact, it really hurt him that he was not given that Nobel Peace Prize in the wake of him achieving a deal between Israel and Palestine over the Gaza war. And I think he's been really lobbying for it for some time now. In fact, if you look at the press conferences that he's been giving, at certain times he's been urging others to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize so that he could get it. Right now that he lost it and he was not given, it seems he's been angered by it, and he claims that this award has lost its meaning. And he even brought in some comments that were made by President Putin to really degrade and look at that award as something that has lost its meaning. So I want you to listen to how Americans have reacted to this meltdown that Trump has had over his loss of Nobel Peace Prize. Then I shall come back with my commentaries in the end. Let's watch.
Donald Trump is upset that he did not win the Nobel Peace Prize this year. And that's BS. I mean, what more does a guy have to do to earn the Nobel Peace Prize? So let's look at the facts. This year alone, Trump has authorized over $6 billion in weapon sales to Israel and an additional $322 million in military aid to Ukraine, including the approval of exports of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine so they can direct strike Moscow. And you mean to tell me that the guy that renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War and raised the military budget to a historic $1 trillion can't get a Nobel Peace Prize? I mean, for God's sakes, Vladimir Putin endorsed Donald Trump, and that guy knows a thing or two about peace. It's just a shame to see the Nobel Peace Prize become so political these days.
Oh yeah, nothing to see here. Just a US president trying to bully a European country into giving him a prestigious peace prize. Really? According to a Bloomberg article out today, the country of Norway is on edge because the Nobel Peace Prize winners are about to be announced, and their worry is that if Trump isn't on that list, he's going to punish them. The article goes on to say Norway is facing pressure from Donald Trump and his administration to award him the Nobel Peace Prize. Who pressures the Nobel Committee to give them the Peace Prize? Who does that? Isn't that automatically disqualifying? One would think it would be, right? But it's entirely unclear whether they are thinking about giving him the prize. Likely not, but maybe next year. Either way, there are concerns, and again, according to this article, about, and I quote, the diplomatic and economic fallout for Norway should the president not win this prize. Norway's biggest fear is around the trade deal. They are still negotiating with the Trump administration. They are worried that if he doesn't win this prize, they are going to get hit with punitive tariffs. Norway is also worried about the possible impact on something called their sovereign wealth fund, which is worth $2 trillion, and which they're also afraid Trump is going to mess with. And the extortion racket is a family affair because Eric Trump tweeted this week, retweet if you believe Donald Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, because because that's how it works. It's not virtuous acts, it's just how many retweets you get. Even the official White House Twitter account is in on it. So the Nobel Prize, they do have a website. The website has a contact form where you'll find a place where you can submit a comment. And I used it this morning to remind the committee that while possible peace in the Middle East is a wonderful thing, Donald Trump has delivered anything but peace in his own country. I reminded them that Trump is attempting to deploy the U.S. military against its own citizens, that his ICE agents are attacking mercilessly undocumented people and ripping them away from their families, U.S. citizens too, that he's threatening to jail his political opponents, demonizing trans people, encouraging political violence, and dividing America horribly. In fact, the list of his unpeaceful activities is literally endless. Finally, I told them that if they were to cave to him, their legacy would experience the same as so many other venerable institutions. It would be destroyed forever. As there is one thing that Trump could win a prize for, it is taking beautiful and noble things and turning them into trash. Nobel Committee, don't say we didn't warn you.
I agree with everything you just said. It is hard for Democrats to root for America's success because they are so broken by Donald Trump.
Root for Donald
this
Trump.
is the core problem of the Democratic Party. You cannot bring yourself to root for America because Donald Trump is the president.
That's not fair, Scott. That's not what I said. I said precisely the opposite
He deserves a Nobel Prize. He deserved it before this deal. He deserves it now. He deserved it for hitting Iran. He deserves it for the 8 other peace agreements that he's negotiated. He deserved it for the Abraham Accords. If they don't give it to him next year, it will be a travesty. I would note that the lady who got it this year, who, by the way, deserves it, she dedicated her award to Donald Trump and was thanking Donald Trump and the American people for their support in getting rid of the Venezuelan regime. And so I hope he does get it because at the end of the day, it will piss off all the right people. And I actually,
I'll be so
happy.
Well. So Daddy Dumpy Pants didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, and people all across the interwebs today are celebrating in a big, big way because that Nobel Peace Prize went a Hispanic woman's way. And I don't mean to piss in your Cheerios today, but there's more to this story, and you need to see it and spread it expeditiously, okay? Okay, hold on while I grab you the screenshot, and then we'll talk about this. According to reporting out of Politico today, the Venezuelan opposition leader dedicates her Nobel Peace Prize to Trump for decisive support. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to the President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. Sorry, didn't mean to piss in your Cheerios on this Friday, baby. But there you have it. Now let's connect some dots here. What is Daddy Dumpy Pants and Petey Kegsbreath currently doing in the Caribbean, friend? That's right, committing war crimes. Claiming that they're taking out Venezuelan drug trafficking terrorists. But we already know that one of those boats had Colombians on them, dear. Citizens, not terrorists, not drug traffickers, just some Colombian men. So, are you starting to connect the dots here, dear? Yes. Now, I'm not for the guy who is currently running Venezuela. And I thought I was for this lady right here. But now that the dots are connecting today, and I'm seeing that maybe, just maybe, she's using Daddy Dumpy Pants and the U.S. military to commit war crimes for her to possibly remove the other guy so she could have that seat, well, it starts to make me think she's really not about peace. I guess you could say maybe she's okay with blowing away fellow Venezuelans today and Colombians too. It's not a good look for you, boo. It is not a good look for you, boo. And it never works out well for those who decide to play with that orange guy on any day. But please, share this bit of tea expeditiously, because I can see people all across the globe today that are happy that that Nobel Peace Prize did not go Daddy's way. So let's show them the entirety of this play. Shall we? Okay.
So Donald Trump, we all know, did not get the Nobel Peace Prize. So when a reporter asked him how he feels about it, how does he feel about Maria Machado getting it? He turns around and tries to flip it and say, she got it because of his help.
The Nobel Peace Prize was announced this morning. Your thoughts?
Which one?
The Nobel Peace Prize. Your thoughts?
Look, including a very big one, and I'm not sure, when you say big, it's certainly I think, to the mind of most, the most important deal ever made in terms of peace. But the one we just signed, it's been signed, sealed, and it's going to start taking place now. It's already started. Monday's going to be a very big day when the hostages come back. But I made 8 deals, transactions of wars. One was 31 years going on, 10 million people were killed. One was 34 years, one was 36, 37. One was 10, one was just starting. 2 were just starting, actually, but they were well on their way. In the case of India and Pakistan, 7 planes were shot down. It was a bad one. And I did it largely through trade. I mean, that one, numerous of them. I talked tariffs. I said, look, if you're going to do that, we're going to put very big tariffs on your country. And they were both great. They stopped fighting, and there were 2 nuclear powers. So, you know, they're all big. They're every one of them big. You take a look at the Congo. You take a look at the Congo and Rwanda. 10 million people killed over a long period of time. Got that one solved. We did a total of 8 as of this. 2 days ago, I would have said 7, which I did say, but the other one was signed up, sealed. As you know, Israel signed it just now. They signed it and they approved it today, their parliament. And it's a great honor to be involved with so many. So the person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. A very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me, though. I think she might have. She was very nice. And I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. You know, all of the transactions that we did in terms of closing. But there are those that say we did so much that they should have done it. But I don't take. I'm happy because I saved millions of lives. Many millions of lives. And speaking of somebody that saves lives, don't ever play golf with it, because Keegan Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world, the captain of the Ryder Cup. And, man, I'll tell you, you did a good job. You almost came back. I turned on. I said, you know, I sort of turned off. It wasn't looking good. And then a little while later, I turned on. I said, you guys might make that would have been the miracle. What a great job. He's respected by those golfers like nobody. And I just want to compliment you, Keegan. That was a incredible job. Right here, we have a lot of unfriendly fake news media, and he's not used to that. He's used to getting only good publicity, I think, Howard. These are all golfers, but you're some golfer, I'll tell you that, and some leader. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Keith.
Mr. President, on China.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just hear all of those excuses coming from him, but it all boils down to is he's a loser. And how does it feel, Donald Trump, to lose at something you really, really desired? You were trying to cheat your way into getting a Nobel Peace Prize, and it turns out no one was falling for it. But I can be more transparent and honest with you about it. Until you stop allowing ICE agents to run around this country and terrorize people, until you stop worshiping Vladimir Putin, right? Until you take accountability for what happened on January 6th, and the list goes on and on, I don't see how you should even fix your lips to ask to get a Nobel Peace Prize, because let's just face it, you will never, ever, ever be as great as Barack Hussein Obama. Now, you Trump supporters, get back to doing what you've been doing. Kissing and smelling his dirty, disgusting diaper and begging for him to be a Nobel Peace Prize recipient.
Trump didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. Marina Corina Machado of Venezuela, the candidate who has literally been in hiding because her opponent is a fascist that she's been fighting against to help her people, got the Nobel Peace Prize last night. Trumpy's gonna be big mad. All the begging, all the threatening Norway. Yeah, he did not get the Nobel Peace Prize. And it just happens to be the country he's going to war with because they overturned his dictator buddy and he wants their oil now. Yep, Venezuelans candidate for president won the Nobel Peace Prize, and Trump's going to be crying all morning long. This should be fun. But I solved 7 words that I didn't solve.
Trump didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, and I am absolutely outraged. You're telling me the man who is having masked federal agents in unmarked vans kidnap people off the streets didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize? The one who also had those federal agents raid apartment complexes and zip-tie children naked? The one who is actively tearing families apart and sending people to foreign torture facilities? The one who is also sending people to a local concentration camp where they are rarely fed, and if they are fed, they are basically fed garbage? The concentration camp where they are deleting any evidence these people existed and 2/3 of the people have gone missing? That guy didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize? The one inciting civil war? Deploying the National Guard to places like Portland where people in inflatable suits are running amok? Didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize? The guy who ordered a cruise missile strike on a boat of 12 fishermen in international waters? Didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize? The man who called the free press the enemy of the people? The man who ordered his followers to attack protesters? The man who attempted to overturn an election and incited an insurrection on January 6th? Didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize? The man who said he wants to terminate the Constitution and called half the country his enemy? Didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize? This is ridiculous. It must have been rigged.
Can we talk about how insane this is? I'm sure by now you've heard that Donald Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. Surprise, surprise, right? Of course, that orange piece of shit was never going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. But some of the reaction to him not winning the Peace Prize, it just shows you how insane, really, the entire world is now that the United States has elected this criminal as president. Let me read just a little bit of a Bloomberg article for you. Here's the headline: World awaits blowback as the Nobel slips from Trump's hands. In awarding the Peace Prize to Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela, the Norwegian Nobel Committee recognized, quote, a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amid a growing darkness. Now just take that sentence for a minute. Can you think of anything that is more opposite, just the complete opposite of Donald Trump? Everything that Donald Trump is not, or everything that Donald Trump hates, a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amid a growing darkness. Donald Trump is the growing darkness. Let me continue. It's hard to predict how that will go down with a U.S. president who famously prefers to keep the spotlight on himself. To Donald Trump, the announcement that the Nobel Peace Prize has once again been awarded to someone else risks registering as the latest ignominy in a lifetime of rejection by elites. The question is how he might register that indignation. And I just want to read one final little part of this thing here. This is where it really is insane. In Norway, politicians are bracing for the possibility Trump might punish the country through tariffs or targeting the country's sovereign wealth fund. More generally, world leaders will be watching to see if the loss drives Trump away from joint diplomatic efforts. I mean, just think about that. In Norway, politicians are bracing for the possibility Trump might punish the country because he didn't win a peace prize. The headline of this: World awaits blowback. Blowback from the President of the United States, who is butthurt because he didn't win a peace prize. I mean,
Okay, so I noticed a fairy ring in my backyard. It wasn't there the last couple years. Interesting. So anyway, I guess Mega's upset. Trump is upset. He did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. Wasn't it Netanyahu that nominated him? One of the people? Yeah, someone that is performing genocide, suggesting you for a Nobel Peace Prize is not it. And Trump's like walking the way of Hitler now. Snatch people off the streets, trying to get one group afraid of another group and spreading lies and dissension. I know he's mad because Barack Obama won it. But you know, what is peaceful about Trump? There's nothing peaceful about him. Is there? Like having people snatched up off the streets without due processes? You know, his own wife, video after video, doesn't want to touch him, doesn't want to hold his hand. A convicted rapist, multiple time convicted felon. And look up the lawsuits that come against him that he's paid off for sexual abuse through the years. Nothing peaceful about him. Even my orange is better than him.
So I was woken up this morning very rudely. I'd only gotten 9.5 hours sleep, whereas as president, I try to get 12 to 13. You know, that's what great medical people say I should get. But I had to wake up early because the radical left globalists in Sweden, I think it is, where they make the Swedish fish, which we will no longer be eating. By the way, I've eaten a lot of Swedish fish in my years, and sorry, we're not eating them anymore, because what Sweden just did is one of the great insults to our country, to me, and most importantly, to peace. To peace, because we are committed to peace through strength, and I've done more for peace than anybody. Reese's called me and said, "Sir, we thought we had done the most for pieces, but you've done even more than Reese's. We're renaming them Trump pieces because you've done such a beautiful job for peace." And this isn't, I don't do this for awards. You know, I don't wake up every morning screaming into a mirror that a black president got a Nobel Peace Prize. No, I do it for the people. We do it for peace. We do it for love. We love love and we love peace. And I just helped Israel get peace with hummus. And, you know, they didn't even need pita bread or chips to do it. They did because of me. And I simply let Bibi Netanyahu murder until he was tired. And I said, how about peace? You know, because it's a good time to get somebody to agree to peace is when they're tired. They say, okay, peace. So we did that. I ended the War of the Roses, which, if you recall, Michael Douglas was very tough in that movie, and I ended it, okay? We ended War Games because I got to the credits in the movie, and I said, okay, turn it off. So we ended that. I also did peace in countries, states. I'm sending troops into my own country, of course, because first, how do you get peace if you don't have war? People don't. There's no peace. If everything's good, there's no peace. You didn't think about that, did you? How do you give a peace prize? Now, they gave it to some Venezuelan woman, Maria Conchita Alonso, I think. And we like her. I've posted Truth Socials about her, but this is still an insult. So I've instructed Administrative Assistant of War, Pete Hegseth, to blow up her boat, but to make sure that the prize, we rescue the prize. So kill everybody on the boat, because it's a Venezuelan boat, she's probably dealing drugs, but to rescue the prize and give it to me.
So the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize was officially announced, and no, it was not my president. Now, I was raised to be a good sport about these things, so I'm going to start off by congratulating the woman who did win the prize, which is this lady right here. She is Maria, or essentially, hopefully, the next president of Venezuela, who is combating communism and looking to bring the American way into Venezuela. Now, for all y'all America-hating, Trump-hating individuals out there, let me show y'all something real quick. This recognition of the struggle of all Venezuelans is a boost to conclude our task to conquer freedom. We are on the threshold of victory, and today, more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, the people of Latin America, and the democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy. I dedicate this prize to the suffering of the people of Venezuela and, wait for it, President Joe Biden? Obama? No. President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. Even when the globalists don't want you to win, you still end up winning. That's our president right there.
It is so funny to watch the MAGA Republicans melt down over Donald Trump not winning the Nobel Peace Prize. The committee announced that they were giving the award to Maria Corina Machado for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and her struggle to achieve a democracy. And that has sent some of the biggest names in MAGA politics over the edge. Laura Loomer said, "Imagine thinking a woman who cries nonstop about Maduro has done more for the world than Trump. What a joke." Megyn Kelly said, "Roger Ailes never even allowed anyone to submit for an award because he understood how meaningless they were." It's so funny that they're calling it meaningless, because if Trump would have won the award, they'd say it's the best thing ever. Stephen Chung, a senior advisor to Trump, said the Nobel Committee proved they place politics over peace. I don't know. Benny Johnson even cited Vladimir Putin to back up his argument, because Putin said that the award has lost all credibility. What? All day, the MAGA fans have been in a total spiral. And look, I'm going to be honest with you, I've enjoyed every second of it.
Here's Donald Trump's response to not winning the Nobel Peace Prize this morning, walking off to Marine One or to get his semi-annual checkup, when he's probably going to get the news that he's in severe cognitive decline, that his ankles aren't getting better, and that he isn't doing too well. And he's not really doing well to go in the place that he wants to so desperately wants. And what's bittersweet about him losing it to a Venezuelan, someone from a nation that he's seemingly declared war on, because this Alien Enemies Act that allowed him to send off, deny due process rights to about 200 or so Venezuelan men and imprison them for 100 days to be tortured extrajudicially, blowing up boats, accusing them of being Venezuelan drug thingies, whatever. He's attacking our cities, saying that the Venezuelan gang is in the cities, in the apartment buildings. And yeah, that's not a good look. So
the Nobel Peace Prize went to a brave and committed champion of peace. And some people are mad that wear the red hat, that somebody that looks like a Cheeto Puff did not get it. A brave champion of peace. Why do you think that you would win the Nobel Peace Prize, a Nobel Prize? You have done the opposite of everything. You have been unnoble in everything that you do. So why do you think, and why are y'all mad that he didn't win the Nobel Prize? Excuse me, the Nobel Peace Prize. You have caused chaos, stress, drama, uncertainty, every word that is the opposite of peace. So no, you did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm surprised that y'all are delusional enough to think that he was gonna win. And she was a woman. So shout out to Maria Corina Machado. I'm sure I said it wrong. But yeah, better luck next time.
Crazy. In the same week that he gets denied getting his little Nobel Peace Prize, all of a sudden you want to put 100% tariff on China starting November 1st. What a petulant child, bro.
Breaking news, as President Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. Shocker. It instead went to Maria Corina Machado, the Venezuelan opposition leader who promotes democracy throughout the country in opposition to their dictator Maduro. And this has MAGA freaking out. Trump had been actively campaigning for this award and had lots of other world leaders essentially giving him the nomination and asking the Nobel Committee to award it to him. And MAGA is not happy, and they are losing it over this. We have yet to hear what Trump has to say about this, so we are awaiting his response. I think what's really got MAGA world upset about this is Trump lost to a woman who is Latina and represents what all these immigrants are that Trump is actively trying to remove from this country. When asked why Trump didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Committee chair said this.
This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
We only give the award to people of courage and integrity. And they're saying Trump is not one of those people. I mean, let's just be real here. Trump is turning the U.S. military on its own citizens in various cities throughout the country, causing violence and unrest. How the hell are you expected to win the Nobel Peace Prize when you're doing that? Sure, you might be brokering some peace deals in other countries, but when you're causing your own country to not be at peace, how the hell are you supposed to win with that? Let me know what you guys think about this. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Wow. Now, Trump seems to be angered by everything that is going on in America right now. And the question of Nobel Peace Prize, he's been wanting it. And his ego has not been massaged because he's not getting it. And that really is hurting him a lot. And I guess this is even more important for him than solving the challenges that Americans are having. We know that life is becoming unbearable because of high inflation rates, but Trump is so much obsessed with Nobel Peace Prize that he can't think of having a better way of engaging other countries like China. He still promises to have 100% tariffs on Chinese imports, yet Americans have complained, and they are saying that the tariff wars that he has with China is hurting soybean farmers. I don't know whether this is the America First that he's been talking about or if he's been touting over the years. So Trump's anger stems from a deep-seated obsession with the Nobel Peace Prize, which he has openly coveted since his first term. Unlike President Barack Obama, who received it early in his presidency for a mere promise, Trump views the award as a validation he was unjustly denied despite tangible achievements, fueling a personal grudge that intensified upon his 2025 return to office. In 2025, Trump aggressively lobbied for the prize through public boasts, private calls to Norwegian officials, and leveraging allies like Israel's Netanyahu to nominate him. He timed diplomatic breakthroughs such as the Gaza ceasefire and Ukraine deals explicitly to bolster his case, making the snub feel like a direct betrayal after such calculated investment. The Nobel Committee decision to award it to a Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, despite Trump's vocal support for her cause and even a congratulatory call, intensified his fury. To him, this overlooked his decisive role in mobilizing U.S. resources against Maduro, turning a potential win into an insult. White House aides amplified the rage, slamming the committee for placing politics over peace and implying bias against conservatives. Trump's inner circle, echoing his narrative, accused the panel of favoritism towards woke figures like Obama, reinforcing his belief that the decision was rigged. Trump's self-proclaimed tally of ending 8 wars in 2025 from Gaza to border skirmishes clashes brutally with the committee's focus on pre-nomination events from 2024. The procedural technicality enraged him as it dismissed his recent mountain-moving efforts, leaving him feeling robbed of historical recognition. Ultimately, the snub wounded Trump's ego, a core driver of his worldview, where external acclaim equals legitimacy. Denied the prize, he deserved more than anyone. He has his MAGA base erupted in bitterness, vowing it proves the elite's disdain for his brand of peace through strength. So whatever Trump is talking about or whatever he's pushing around, I guess this is something that it is all about his ego. He wanted his ego massaged and he wanted to feel like whatever he's giving to the world needs proper recognition. You know, Trump is someone who plays to the media, and when he's praised, he always feels so happy. But then when he doesn't get such kind of praises, he feels so hurt. And I guess this is one of the hurts that he's feeling today. I don't know how this is going to affect how he relates with others, but I've seen him promise 100% tariff against Chinese imports. So let's wait and see whether he's going to continue calling for proper peace in Ukraine, or he was just doing it to bolster his chances of getting this prize. Share your thoughts down in the comment section. And if you're watching us for the first time, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you, and let's meet on the next one.